Guys, it's Jamie here. I'm going to show you a very quick page decoration idea if you use different size pages in your journal and you do include original pages like dictionary pages or music script. For my light Cinderella journal, because as some of you know, I'm going to be doing a light version and a darker, more gothic-y version using the same printables. I will be including some original book pages that aren't necessarily for journaling on, they're more just for decoration. This will be going into the light version, so I've chosen the Victorian Velvet Distress ink and I'm going to edge it in that instead of Victorian Photo. So for my grungy version I'd use the Victorian Photo and maybe even darken down the whole page, and I might show you an example of that later, but not necessarily do it, just show you the end result and the different results that can be achieved by changing colours. You don't always have to do vintage photo. If you want this to look older and more grungy, mix the two together. So do vintage photo, then Victorian velvet on top. It gives you a pinky brown effect, which is quite nice. You stain round every single edge in whatever ink colour that you're choosing to use. I will come back when that's done. What I have here is one napkin that I've cut around while it's still quite thick so that I just get the rows out of the napkin, and there was one on each quarter. And then what we need to do before we can use it is just take the backing off. So take all those layers off. Using the Mod Podge, covering where we're going to put the rows. Doesn't matter if it gets wrinkled. This is a decorative page only. This page came from a book of music pages, like a whole opera or something. But if you have got separate music score that is old from popular music, it might be quite delicate, and you will be binding this into a journal. So what I would recommend is you, with any napkin that you're using, you go over these joins. The bigger the pattern, the more you can go over, obviously, but you can angle things so that you get more going over on a different page. So that's what I will do. You could also use washi tape to run down a spine area if you don't have enough napkin to take over the edge. You can see that when it's on a white background, it fades very nicely in to the actual page that you're putting it on. If it's on a colour background, you will need to do something to make it blend, which might be use some white gesso and some stain or some paint so that it fits the page better. But when it's on that transparency white background, it goes in quite nicely. Then doing the same on the inside when that's dry. What I've done is I've strengthened on the inside using a bit of the clear aspect of the napkin, just a little strip running down that centerpiece. And if you don't like how that looks, or you don't think it's faded in enough, just go over it with some of the colour that you edged with. It's not going to fade it in completely, but it is going to take some of the harshness off the join. And if you think this is like, well, a bit too boring, you can just add a pocket and a tag. So you want it to have more use, take another piece of paper, score it down, and then fold it over. Take a little bit off each corner so that it will fold nicely. We're going to have a big pocket and we're going to put it along here. Edge it with some pink. Then run wet glue or tape along these. I will use tape. Place it on that line there. It's very handy. This does actually give you lines as well, which is quite nice. And now you have quite a deep side pocket, but it's not the strongest, so you're not going to want to put anything too much in there. I have this offcut, and I could put this on a corner, quite like there. So I'm going to cut straight a line as I can, and again use the Mod Podge to put that down on here. We don't have to be done yet. We could add some lace to where that pocket opening is. I'm taking some silicone glue and running it along that edge. I'm just going to use my finger, make sure I don't close the pocket. Trim off any overhang when that's dry. For a super speedy way of putting something in that pocket, so that you don't have to make a tag, what I've got here is a couple of original postcards. One is one that you could write on because it's blank. It just needs that rubbing out, because that didn't cost me that. Someone might have paid that once, but I certainly didn't. So you have one that you can write on that goes with the colourways, and then you've got one here that actually has stamp and an original message, which is kind of nice as well. And that is a very quick page for your junk journal. I'm going to show you some more examples in different styles. I have 4 examples here. So the one that we made together with the big side pocket and the original ephemera, it's not a very long job to do that, but I think looks quite effective if that was to go into a journal. A very, very simple version, if you didn't want to do the pocket, is that. It's just all napkin. Another version, which I think was Spice Marmalade and Vintage Photo, is a small book page version with a small pocket here. I think that fits a tag. That tag might be too big, but you can see that it has a little pocket and a tag there. That is a tag made in a similar style, napkin, music score, doubled over to make it a bit thicker, and some coffee stained on the back and Vintage Photo around it. And that is the tag, really simply done, but again quite effective. That will be another one. And then here, the real grungy dark Cinderella one. This took a bit more work. This one has the black Stabilo dribbled onto it, the espresso distress oxide, the Vintage Photo, some white gesso that's been stained over as well, and some black lace, but is pretty plain inside, just dark and awesomely grungy. Again, you can add pockets to this, you can do what you want with it, or you can just put it in as it is. If you're watching on YouTube, please do all the YouTubey things, like, share, subscribe, comment. If you're watching in the Facebook group, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube. There's over 300 videos on it. I'd like you to take a moment just to thank all the members of the Creator Club, because they help support this channel and their credit roll is happening now.